Hello and welcome to another Board Crazy review. My name is D, and today I will be talking about Harry Potter House Cup competition with
your partner in crime and your fellow wizard, Will. Wizard Will is what we'll call me for this
Will
video.
the Hufflepuff.
Yeah. Okay, look, just because Pottermore put me in Hufflepuff doesn't make me a Hufflepuff.
Pretty sure it does. So, before we get talking about this game, we're going to run my introduction to it from our gameplay video, if you haven't watched that yet and want a little understanding of how the game works before we give opinions. Sound good to you, Will?
Yep.
Good. Here that goes. Harry Potter House Cup Competition is a game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Nate Heiss and Kimmy Mandell, and published by the OP Games. In this game, each player controls one of the houses of Hogwarts, and must level up their students in order to complete challenges and ultimately earn the most points in the House Cup competition. To set up, each player first takes a common room board and their 3 students, whose skills all start at level 1. Each player also receives 2 basic lesson cards and 2 knowledge tokens. On the board, a level 1 location card is randomly drawn and placed face up next to the classrooms. Then 2 level 2 and 1 level 3 locations are also chosen at random and placed face down above the round tracker to be revealed later on. Lastly, the basic and advanced lesson decks and the easy and hard challenge decks are all shuffled separately, and the top 3 cards from each deck are drawn and placed face up beneath. A game is played over 7 rounds, each of which consists of 2 phases. Phase 1 is classes, and on a player's turn during this phase, they must place a student at an open location on the board, and they may, if they wish, also have that student complete a lesson card from their hand. If choosing both actions, they may be done in either order. Lessons require a certain skill level in one of the 3 classes and offer rewards for completion. Levels in classes, as well as additional resources, are gained from the spaces on which the students are placed. After all students have attended class, they are all returned to their common rooms, and the second phase, Challenges, begins. During this phase, players may assign their students to challenge cards in their hands. A player may attempt up to 2 easy challenges or 1 easy and 1 hard challenge per round. Similar to lessons, challenges require skills in certain classes, but sometimes also require the player to spend knowledge tokens. Many challenges reward the player with House Cup points upon completion, represented by gems. Each gem is worth 10 points, and when earned, they get placed into each house's hourglass. After the 7th round, players tally up their points. In addition to 10 points for each gem in their hourglass, players earn an additional 10 points for each skill of their students that they've leveled up all the way to level 7, and also 10 additional points for each pair of knowledge and magic tokens that they have in their possession. Then naturally, the player who has the most total points wins the game. Now let's get started. All right, Will?
Yep.
Harry Potter. Are you familiar with Harry Potter?
Something to do with test tubes.
Yes, it's a science thing.
So I'm guessing it's like about chemistry, maybe? He's a chemist.
He's a chemist. Harry Potter is the chemist. He makes... I'm not going to get into this. This is a game for 2 to 4 players. Unfortunately, of course, due to the pandemic, we've not been able to play this with a wide variety of players. But...
Are you throwing an asterisk on the video already?
No, it's not really an asterisk.
Seems like a disclaimer.
I mean, the game has obviously some, it's some situation, like there's spaces you can't go with fewer than 3 or 4 players, what have you. But, it's worth mentioning that we probably have not played this at its optimal fun level. But, we've seen everything.
We have
no secrets here.
Of the general gameplay, we have a gist of it. So, yeah, we can definitely touch on that.
The mechanics we haven't experienced or anything like that so much. This is a very straightforward worker placement game. Very straightforward worker placement.
I mean, literally, you put a person somewhere, and they do that thing.
Well, they don't do. They collect.
Those.
They collect a reward.
You know what I mean.
Either knowledge, magic, or skill in an area, and then they use those acquired things to complete lessons and challenges. Similar to like Lords of Waterdeep, but simpler even than that game.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess because of that, I would say right off the bat, this is probably a game that I would think is going to be best recommended to Harry Potter fans, and specifically Harry Potter fans who maybe aren't big board game players or are younger.
Yeah.
haven't had the opportunity to become big board game players yet.
Yes.
Like we're both Harry Potter fans. I guess that's worth mentioning.
Yep.
But we play a lot of board games.
We do.
By necessity. And this isn't gonna blow you away if you're deep into the hobby.
The way I see this game, I think of it as a very competently put together worker placement game. That's main appeal is its theme. Like, that's what it feels like to me. So, like, yeah, it felt like they were trying to put together a game that just works, and then they could throw the Harry Potter theme on it, and now it has something that makes it almost, not exceptional, but something you can sell it.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, because it is so straightforward, so relatively simple, it does work.
Yeah.
It doesn't get real complex in a way where it can sort of break.
No.
Which is good. You want that. And I think even at its basic level, I think it has moments of fun.
Yeah, sure.
And strategy.
Yeah, for sure.
You do need to be kind of careful about like the balance of the leveling up you do between your 3 students, and also of course the order in which you place them each turn to the various spaces on the board, because you have to obviously. With one obvious exception, there most places are only going to support one student. So it's the give and take of wanting to do something before someone else can do it, versus maybe doing something that's more beneficial to you.
Yeah, especially as the player count, especially when you get to 3 and then especially 4, you're going to definitely need to be very constantly aware of what spaces are getting filled up. With 2, it's a little easier to just kind of take what you need. There are a few moments, a handful, where someone will take something you want to go to. But I would say there's a lot more flexibility at the 2-player count than you would get at the 4.
Yeah, and so it's an interesting sort of thing, because you need to level up your skills. That's how you, more or less, how you...
Charms, potions,
and
defense against the dark arts.
Yeah, that's how you...
The big 3.
You need the skill to be leveled up to really realistically complete lessons and challenges. But there's only these 3 spaces that specifically perform that function. And you've got these over here, which give a bit more flexibility, but with a cost associated. So all these spaces higher up are that offer resources, new lessons, new challenges, or magic, or knowledge. And you really have to, I think, strike a balance between the 2, because if you do focus, you can, if you wanted to, focus a lot on just leveling up your skills, but like a lot of especially the more valuable lessons and challenges require the spending of magic or knowledge.
Like, this is a very a basic worker placement game, but like any worker placement game, even the most basic ones, you do have to think a good amount, and it will be somewhat stimulating. I agree with you that everything you just said, like trying to figure out the balance between when do you go to the classrooms and when do you go elsewhere, is definitely like that's the chunk of the gameplay that makes you think the most.
Yeah, I would say, on the other hand, because it does require thinking, I think especially when you get up to higher player counts, this is a game that can feel a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Because it is so straightforward from a gameplay perspective. It can feel like it runs a little long, I think.
Which is strange. There's only 7 rounds. I don't know. At least at 2 players, I never felt that it was going too long.
It doesn't. No, 2 players, it's not too bad. It's probably about where I'd want it.
Yeah.
But it's only going to go up.
So with more people thinking and taking their time, it does.
Yeah, and there being more to think about. For sure. There are instances where luck kind of enters the equation a bit more than I'd like for this kind of game. Specifically,
I think they did a good job minimizing it. But go ahead.
At the very outset of the game, I think specifically, because every player starts with 2 basic lessons at random, and there's a pretty good variance in like the usefulness of the rewards on those lessons. Like some of those are going to be very helpful right away. Others are not going to be all that helpful right away. Or they may just be of a higher difficulty, which requires a few turns to make use of them. So I don't know. It feels like.
Yep, I agree with you that what lessons you get at the start can sort of kickstart you in the right direction if you're lucky, which can kind of put you at an advantage. In our game, I had 2 that were both required me to get to just charms level 2. And I did that right away, and I was immediately able to complete like 2, lessons, not necessarily at the same time. You can only do one at a time. But I think both of them gave me bonuses, either bonus levels or bonus knowledge or magic that allowed me to get like a little extra oomph out of my first round. That definitely, started me off in the right direction.
And at the same time, the cards I got were also charms, which required me to get like level 2 and 3.
But since I went first,
you went right to charm
lesson.
So like my only option to get there was to go here, but you don't even have magic to start the game.
No,
so it's a little rough. I will say a good thing that sort of does help with this a little bit is the location cards. You start with a very sort of basic one here.
Yep.
And then that rounds 2, 4, and 6, new ones get flipped over. And these are generally more powerful. Usually have prerequisites, but some even support more than one person. Student. So those are good, I think, because again, they are a bit more powerful. They give you the sense, at least, that you can use them to catch up a little bit if you're behind.
I also think they add a lot to replayability.
Yeah.
More than pretty much anything else in this game, those are the things that are going to be changing up, like the combination, are going to be changing up so much that, to me, I think the most I'm intrigued about with replays of this game is seeing some of these new locations and how I can use them, almost like to build like an engine, to get the right combinations that I want.
Sort of build off of stuff we've already talked about, a couple things.
Okay.
I think in terms of catch-up and sort of helping with the balance a little bit, I do think this game would have benefited from a sort of like a secret objective system for each house. Because for the reasons we've already talked about, but I feel like it's a way to, I think, benefit players who maybe are in a situation where they're forced to adapt a less optimal strategy. So having like objectives to maybe have like total cumulative levels in a certain class or something like that could have gone a long way towards making up the difference between the players who are sort of like mainlining like a super powerful strategy. And I feel like it also kind of ties into the replayability with this game, because there is such little variance between the houses. It just kind of, if what happens on the board happens, and some bit of luck between the cards you get. It feels to me like this is a game that can not necessarily be solved, but I feel like there's going to be some like obvious like good strategies that are going to be discovered. And once people get those, that's just how they're going to play. And other people are going to follow suit, and it's just a matter of like who's able to execute it best. So I think having like a secret objective thing might, encourage others' play styles and reward other play styles.
If you're going to make a Harry Potter game like this, why not have each individual house have a special objective or a special ability? Like, why is it that Slytherin and Gryffindor are exactly the same, and Slytherin, they're not doing any crafty evil crap?
Yeah.
Like, I felt no immersion into the Harry Potter universe, but I might have if this game was a little trashier and a little less concerned about balance and was just throwing in more, like, if you follow, honestly, if the game was more thematic, it would have to be a bit trashier, but I think that would also make it more fun. But we've seen that work with games. Like, I like to Jaws, which I still think to this day is the best movie adaptation I think I've played to like a board game, because that was like, why don't we just make the movie experience into a game, even if sometimes it's completely unfair.
It's like you can cast spells to like mess with your opponents, or like like move them to a different place. Or, I don't know. Like it's very, very like you said, safe.
It doesn't. There's nothing about this that gives you that like Wizarding World feel. It looks that way, but it doesn't play. It's so everything. It feels so safe for a universe where the characters are in such tenuous, competitive situations constantly. I want that feeling when I play a Harry Potter game.
It's funny you say that it looks that way, because for me, I think my biggest disappointment with the game is actually how it looks.
Okay.
I don't think this evokes Harry Potter at all.
I mean, I think it does.
I mean, or at it's a very like base level. Like I think half the charm of Harry Potter is just how evocative the world is. And how much charm it has, and it's got like this very defined aesthetic now, thanks to the movies. And like this, I don't know. I mean, you can look at the board. To me, it strikes me as very drab.
I don't know. I actually don't have.
This doesn't scream Harry Potter to me at all.
I think they were trying. I think the good thing about the op is that they are able to get licenses for big name IPs.
Yeah,
and they were trying to capitalize on that. So they kept it more to like a live action look.
You get like these lessons and there's nothing on them. It's just like
the lessons. I agree.
Utilitarian, and even like
challenges
using like the like licensed like photos of like the actors and the sets of the movie, I feel like makes it feel a bit cheaper than it might have if they had just hired an artist to like draw Harry Potter stuff.
I think again that was them trying to capitalize on the fact that they have the IP, the rights to it, but
for the most part, I think again this game just does not feel Harry Potter to me. I don't. Like, whereas, like, where you were saying, like, the gameplay doesn't help you with immersion, I don't think the look of the game helps with immersion either. I don't really feel like I'm at Hogwarts when I play this game. Like, none of this looks like Hogwarts. Is what it is. I mean, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but I was disappointed by it.
And I think we're also difficult.
Harry Potter
I think we're difficult to please.
Maybe. Yeah, we do play a lot of games. Any other points you want to make before we wrap up?
Not really, no.
I have a very pedantic point to make, if I may.
All right, come on.
The way that the challenges are completed in this game makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you need level 4 charm skill to complete a challenge, 2 people with level 2 charm skills would not be sufficient to solve that problem.
Yeah, like, year 1 Harry Potter could not fight Bellatrix. But by this game's logic, if it was year 1 Harry, year 1 Hermione, and year 1 Ron fighting her together, now all of a sudden they're going to win.
Maybe they have a chance.
Yeah, like, no.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
You put a high school and college football team together, they're not going to be competitive with an NFL team. They're going to get slaughtered. So, yeah, this is very, I don't know. It's very pedantic. It's not really a criticism, but it does annoy me because I'm that kind of person.
All right, so you want to wrap up, do our final scores?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I give letter grades. He gives...
stars.
Out of 5 stars, he does half a star scale.
I think my overall opinion of this game is probably not quite as negative as it probably has sounded.
Yeah.
Based on what we've said, I think I am probably more disappointed than I would be otherwise because I am a Harry Potter fan, and this is a Harry Potter property, and I want a very good Harry Potter board game.
Yeah, that's a risk you run, though. I think when you do.
Yeah, but again, I do think this is like we've kind of said, it does work as a worker placement game, and I think it does have moments where it's fun and challenging. So, I'm not going to slaughter this. I'm going to give this a somewhat weak 3 out of 5 score.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is objectively balanced and well crafted. I don't think
it's competent.
Yeah, it's a very safe worker placement game, and if that's what you're looking for, this is right there. Yeah, it just didn't feel Harry Potter to me because of the way it played, just like it didn't feel Harry Potter to you because of the way it looked. And then, so for that reason, I can only give this game a C+.
Okay. Actually, the worst part of this game is this. This should not happen. What is this? Come on now.
Everything should be flush.
Yes. It's not flush. I try, but it doesn't go all the way down. There's a bit. There's a bit. Very annoying. That's our review of Harry Potter House Cup Competition. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, sorry. You can give us a thumbs down, I guess. Leave a comment. If you did like it, though, thumbs up. And also a comment. That's also cool. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Social media is down below. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And we hope you come back again in the future for another video. We'll be returning to a... somewhat familiar setting next time, I guess. Familiar in the sense we've been kind of we did something recently that was pretty similar. But until then, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
See you next time, everyone. What are you going to do? Ah, God dang it. Magic!
Got magic.